Hi, hey Russ here. Welcome back to my shop. I have a confession. I am a bench vise junkie. There are those that love to collect hand planes and those that collect chisels. I think that my weakness is bench vises. I have quite a few of them for this little shop. I think I have 11 or 12, not counting the ones I have on my legacy machine. And quite honestly, a lot of them I've actually made or modified to make them what they are. One of these days I'll do a video on all my different vices and you'll see what I'm talking about and the changes I made to make them better. But I was still lacking one vice, of course, and that is if I want to hold something small or something round and I want to hold it nice and sturdy, most of the time when you put it in a regular vise, like a face vise or a Matson vise, if you put your piece up near the top and you close down on it with the vise will actually rack because your pressure is at the bottom of the jaw and the piece is at the top, and the piece will want to try to pop out. You just can't quite get that really good bite on that. So what do? Well, I've decided that I actually now, this vise that I just did, and I call it my OTB bench vise. It's actually, I make it from a simple little hand screw clamp. And what gives it its power is, if you've ever had a leg vise, that's what this actually really is. If you look at it, you have your adjustment rod down here, which adjusts for the jaw opening on your leg vise. And this one then is the one that you turn to tighten your piece in at the top of your leg vise. So this works identical to that. But you can fine adjust one of these things to keep your parallel, so when you tighten it down, it'll stay nice and parallel, even on a skinny little piece like this. If you put it in here, in the top of the jaws, that'll still hold that without popping out, wanting to pop out. First thing we have to do is modify this so that we can use it as a vise. Now, I can still use this as a hand screw clamp without any problem. The modifications I made, there's 3 of them. The first one is I put these little knobs on the other end of where my screws are, and I call these my fine adjustment knobs. These are my hand crank, my hand tightening knobs. So depending on which side you're working from, you work with 2 knobs instead of 1. And you'll see more about that in a second. The other modifications I made is I drilled a 1/4 inch bolt hole through the one in between the 2 screws. And the third thing I did is I put sandpaper in here, glued it on the face on the top half of my jaws. And that really helps with the holding power. Now, even with all these changes, I can still use this as a hand clamp. So if you don't want to dedicate it, you can multitask it still. You know me, I love to multitask. So, this is the jig that I made to hold this to the table. And I can put this anywhere I want that I have a bench dog hole. It's basically a base. Mine is a 6-inch diameter base with a hole in the center, a 1/4 inch bolt, a knob, and a dowel with a hole through it so that I can slip it over the carriage bolt that I put through here. And this goes into any of my bench dog holes, and this will tighten it down on there. I put sandpaper on the bottom so that once I tighten this down, it'll stay in place right where I put it, so it won't turn on me. So, and it doesn't take much to tighten it down, so it holds it pretty sturdy in place. I also attached this vertical piece here. It's a piece of a 2x3, and that's where the second bolt goes through, carriage bolt. And this is the bolt that goes through the hole that I put on the clamp. So, in order to mount this, I'm going to put it on the table, and let's put the bolt in from the bottom to hold this on the table. And now that's ready to go. I put the bolt hole through, and I mount it there, and I put the other knob on here, and I tighten it down. This is tightening up against this piece of sandpaper here to keep this thing from moving once I tighten the knob down. That's why it only takes 1 knob here and 1 knob under here to hold this mounted to my tabletop. The bench dog helps hold it sturdy. You could put a plate on here and use 2 face clamps instead of 2 F clamps on it to hold it in place. Since I have bench dogs all over, I went this way because it's just better to suit it for my shop. So now that it's in place, I can turn this any direction I want and use it as a vise. And this is my clamping area up here. So it's on the surface mounted bench vise now. So to use it, you just have a couple of simple things you have to remember. First thing you have to do is set it up to use it for whatever size piece you want to put in there. And that's real easy to do. The key is to keep your jaws parallel. Now, because I put this knob on here and here, whatever knobs are facing me, this is my fine adjustment knob and this is my tightening knob every time. If I turn it this way, same thing. This is my tightening knob and this is my fine adjustment knob. So as I move my jaw in and out, I turn both of these at the same time to turn it and move it out. So if I do it with one hand, I turn that about a turn or so, and I turn this one about a turn or so until I get it where I want it. If I want, I can do it faster by using both hands and just get them to where they're close. So now let's figure out, what do you want to put in there? So if you want to put something in there, and let's fasten this down, let's tighten this down on there and show you how easy it is. So since this is what I want to put in there, this is the width the jaw is going to be to clamp. So I just set this at the bottom of my clamp against my stationary jaw, and now I'm going to screw this clamp, keeping it parallel until it comes up to there. Now, the reason I turn mine this way, and the reason I do is that I like to have the stationary jaw on the other side of me, and I like the removable jaw toward me. You can put it any way you want, however it's comfortable, or however you want to do it. So anyway, I put the piece in here, and I start turning the knobs together at the same time, so that they stay parallel, and I bring it up until it's just about touching my piece. Now, I can put it in the top, turn the fine adjustment knob until it touches, and now it's just barely touching. I don't tighten it down or anything because that is not on there very strong. It's not for tightening. Once I'm touching, this is my knob I use to put my piece in and out, and it's now ready for me to use this. So I can take my piece and put it in here, turn it to the left to open the jaw up, turn it to the right to tighten it, and then to tighten it down tight, you grab it and give it about a quarter to a half a turn, and you're there. This piece is now not going anywhere. And that's how you put a piece in there. If you wanted to take this piece to the left, I'd loosen it so I can take it out. Now let's put this piece this way in there. So I put the piece against the stationary jaw. I take my two knobs and I start turning them at the same time until I bring it up close to the piece. Bring it in here, open the jaw up just enough to touch. Bring the piece in till it touches. Now I tighten and loosen with this knob. To the right tightens it, to the left loosens it. And then you say, well, won't it get confusing if you use these instead? Well, not really. If I take and turn it this way now, and now let's put this piece in from this side. So let's go back. Now my jaw, the stationary, is here. So I set this against my stationary jaw, and I start moving my jaw out by turning both at the same time till I'm to the width of my piece. Now I can bring it up here, take my fine adjustment knob, and open and close it till I get it adjusted to touch. Now I use my hand tightening knob to do everything from this point forward. I can put it in there, about a quarter of a turn, and this thing is nice and tight. To the left loosens it, takes it out. So I can take and move it. So I can put it in and out of here using only the one knob. So it works real well as a vise once I got it set up. If I want to change it, I just check it, bring my jaw up until it touches. Then I use the fine adjustment knob to open it till it goes in, bring it up till it touches. This is now my adjustment knob. Tighten it to tighten it. To the left loosens it so you can take it in and out and tighten it down perfectly each time now that you set it up. Only takes a second to adjust your clamp, your vise, to where you want it. There is no quick release. But once you set it up, you can put pieces in and out. What about round pieces? Here's a piece of PVC pipe. 1/2 inch PVC. Let's do this. So I'm going to take, let me move this back the way it was. I just prefer my stationary jaw at the back. Like I said, you can do it either way. So now I take my knob, set this up here, and I start moving my knobs at the same time, bringing it out. Now that just barely fits in there. So now I can put it up here, take my fine adjustment knob, and turn it until it's touching. Now it's touching. Now I take this knob and turn it to the right to tighten, left to loosen. Tighten it up. And even though that's round, that is not going to go anywhere. That is held in place. No matter which way you move it, try to move it. And if you want, lefty-loosey, turn it vertical, put it in the clamp, quarter of a turn tightening, and that ain't not moving. That holds that round piece perfectly in that vise. What about something a little smaller? 1/2 inch dowel rod, oak. Put it in there, turn my knobs, keeping my jaw parallel until they're just about touching. Bring it into top, fine adjustment. Turn it until it touches. Now, use this knob to tighten and loosen. So I turn it to the right, it tightens. Turn it to the left, it loosens. You're never confused about which way to turn your clamps if you use this method every time you use it. Makes using this clamp very simple, even though there's a couple of features about it that you have to pay attention to. So if you want to be able to clamp anything that you have to clamp, the hand screw clamp is awesome to make it into a benchtop vise for holding small pieces. Small delicate pieces, or even pieces that aren't parallel. This is actually wedge shape. I would hold that in there and I adjust my jaws until they run parallel. Then I would still fine adjust and then loosen and tighten with the second one. Once you set it to the right angle by adjusting these just the right way, that's when you then go back to using it. So I just kind of turn each one until I get it to where I want it. Then I just fine adjust it, and there it is. And now this is at an angle, but it's holding this thing across its whole face. So when I tighten it down, that isn't going anywhere. So you can even put something not square in there and be able to do this. I just wanted to give you a quick lesson how to use this and how it's actually made and how I can still use it as a hand clamp, but I think this is going to be my favorite vise. No, not my only vise. Heck no. I got way too many other vices that are still fun to use. But this helps me do something that's always been an aggravation in my shop, and that is to hold really small pieces and not have them pop out the top of the jaw because your vise is racking. This does not rack unless you want it to, because you control it by using both screws to set it up. So, if you have any questions about this, or if you want to take and put something even that skinny in there and try to hold this on the jaws, easy enough. Just takes a couple of seconds to set this up. Now I put it in, adjust this till it touches, and now I tighten it down, and I can tighten this as tight as I want, and that is not going to pop out of there, even if you tap it. Isn't that great? Something that thin, and I can hold it that well in my jaws. I hope you like this. I hope it helps enlighten you as to how easy it is to use and how to use it, because it is different than any other vise you have. But once you start using it, you'll actually, I think you'll really like this as a vise for holding power. So make the modifications like I did. Make your own base, and you can make this base differently. If you don't use bench dog holes, you can do it with a T-track set up instead and use a bigger plate. If I used a bigger plate, this thing would be even sturdier, because this is only 1/2 inch plywood. If I really wanted this to be beefy, I would have used a better base than just a piece of 1/2 inch plywood. So there you go. Any comments or any ideas about how to make it better, let me know. If you're confused about how to use one after you make it, I'll help you. Just give me a call, give me a comment, let me know. I'm around. So I do want to thank you for stopping by. If you learned something here, or if you like this video, please say so. If you build one of these clamps, make it into a bench vise, let me know. I know we all would love to hear about it. So thanks. And you come back again because we're nowhere near done. We'll see you again very soon. This is one bench vise junkie saying, see you later.